Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're getting right into some of the most important gear you use out there: aerial lifts, derricks trucks, and cranes. We're going to break down the critical safety rules from Section 7 of the Safety Manual. Okay, let's dive in. Before we get into any of the technical stuff, let's just ground ourselves in this one quote. This is the whole reason these rules even exist. Every single procedure, every check, it all comes back to one thing: making sure you get home safe at the end of the day.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start with the number one rule for anyone operating this equipment. Then we'll walk through those daily checks you have to do. After that, we'll get into the specifics for aerial lifts and then shift over to derricks, all about hoisting, rigging, and communicating clearly. And we'll wrap it all up with the main goal of everything we do.
Let's start with the absolute foundation. This isn't just a good idea, it's the first principle that governs everything else. And here it is. This is the gatekeeper. The bottom line is, if you're not trained and you're not qualified, you don't touch the controls. Period. Full stop. No exceptions. This one rule, right here, probably prevents more incidents than any other. It's the bedrock.
All right, so we know who can operate the equipment. Now let's talk about the very first thing you do at the start of your day. Before that truck ever gets put to work, your safety mission begins with that daily check.
Think of it like this. Your daily check is a conversation with your truck. You're basically asking it, hey, are you ready to work safely today? And the manual is dead serious about this. If the answer is no, if that equipment isn't in perfect working order, it does not get used. It's way better to find a problem on the ground than to discover it 50 feet in the air.
So what does that conversation look like? Well, it's these 5 critical checks. You're running through the controls to make sure they do what they're supposed to. You're looking for any sign of a hydraulic leak. You're putting your eyes and hands on the actual rigging, the hooks and the slings. You're testing your safety systems, like the brakes and the alarms. And you're making sure those load limit placards are there and you can actually read them. This isn't just a quick glance. It's a real systematic inspection.
Okay, so the pre-op check is done. Now let's talk about the rules for when you're actually up in the air. When you're in that basket, the game changes, and so do the risks. Just think about this for a second. You're up there, you're focused on the job. What is the one piece of gear, the one system that stands between you and a fall? It's your personal fall arrest system, your lifeline. And these points are non-negotiable. You've got to wear your harness and the right kind of lanyard. And you have to attach it to the only approved spot, the anchor point built into the basket. Not the rim, not a tool bag, and it has to be set up so you can't fall more than 6 feet. And this is huge for us, it's got to be arc rated to 40 cal. You inspect it every single time. Now, your gear is one thing, but your actions are another. The rules for what you do inside that basket are incredibly simple. Keep your feet on the floor. That's it. You don't stand on anything, you don't sit on the edge, and you never, ever bailed off to a nearby pole. You stay tied to the lift. That lift is your safe zone. And then there's this rule, which we can sum up with just one number: 0. That's how many times you can wear your climbers inside an aerial lift. They can puncture the liner, they're a trip hazard. It's just a hard and fast no. Climbers come off before you go up. Okay, let's switch gears and talk about derrick trucks and hoisting. Here, the big hazard shifts from falling yourself to managing a heavy suspended load. That means the rigging has to be perfect, and so does the communication. This quote right here defines the number one no-go zone. If there's a load in the air, you are not underneath it. If a winch line is tight, you are not standing inside that angle. There's a ton of stored energy in a lift like that, and this rule is all about respecting that power and staying clear. So, before you lift anything, you've got to prepare. You can remember it with the 3 L's. First, load. Know what your derrick can handle and don't push it. Second, lift. You got to do a little test lift first thing every day, just to make sure the brakes are holding. And third, look. You inspect all your rigging, every sling, every cable, before every single lift. Now, when you're making up your own rigging, like putting an eye in a wire rope, there's no room for guessing. The manual gives you this exact chart. So, for a 3/4 inch rope, you need 4 clips, minimum. And they have to be spaced 4.5 inches apart. Following this isn't just a suggestion, it's what guarantees the rigging will hold. And this is just as important: how you put those clips on. The U-bolt part always goes on the dead end of the rope, the short end. The saddle goes on the live end that takes the load. And the easiest way to remember that is the old phrase, never saddle a dead horse. It's a simple saying that really matters. So you've got the rigging right. The other half of a safe lift is crystal clear communication. A job site is loud, and you can't just rely on yelling. That's why we have standard hand signals between the operator and the signal person. So when you want the load to go up, this is the signal. Your forearm's vertical, finger points up, and you make a little circle. It's an obvious upward motion. Everyone knows what that means. And to bring it down, it's just the opposite. Arm down, finger pointing to the ground, making that same little circle. There's no way to mix these two up. And then you have the most important signal of them all. Stop. Arm out, palm down, just swinging it back and forth. This signal trumps everything. And remember, the operator has to obey a stop signal from anyone on the job. So we've covered who can operate the gear, the daily checks, the rules for lifts, the rules for derricks, but all of it, every single detail, it all points back to one thing. So let me ask you this one last question. When you really think about your day, from start to finish, what's the most important job you actually have? This is it. This is the real job. Following the rules, doing your checks, communicating, all of that is just part of the real work, which is making sure that you and everybody on your crew gets home safe. That's how you measure a good day. Stay safe out there.